I'm Nicole, your host. We have the great pleasure of chatting with Jim Phillips today. We are going to be talking about the two sides of confirmation bias. You know what I'm talking about? If not, or even if so, go ahead, grab your tea, grab a friend, grab a notebook, and listen in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am so excited to actually have an in person guest. This is so cool. I am excited to welcome Jim to the show today. Jim, thank you so much for being here with me.
It
Well,
is
actually, I'm here with you because I'm in your space.
well, but we're together, so that's the
We
important thing. No, it's my
are.
pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. So, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic to me. It's something I had to do a lot of research on because I realized that I was on one side of the confirmation bias a lot in
Yeah.
my life. So, we're going to talk about the two sides of confirmation bias. First, what exactly is confirmation bias for those who don't know exactly what that even means?
It's an interesting phenomena that has come more to the forefront here recently because of all the things we're seeing with social media and different conspiracy theories and things like that. But basically, the definition that I've been given,
Mm-hmm.
it really just means that whatever it is that you hold as true and believe as true, you will continue to search out information that supports that viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And the way social media is set up, it does that for you. So if you end up going into a direction, I'm just going to use the word negative, that would have negative information coming, that's all you're going to be receiving back.
Mm-hmm.
And it has become a huge challenge now. I mean, we're seeing that through social media. I don't know if any of your listeners have watched Social Dilemma, that movie
Mm-hmm.
that speaks directly to that. If you haven't seen it, it's a scary movie because of the impact that social media is having on our lives, especially the young people who will research something and then they'll click on something else, and all of a sudden everything they receive is going to be bringing them that same type of information.
Mm-hmm.
So really, that's what confirmation bias is. It's just information that would support what you already hold as true. We all get taken into it at one time or another.
Mm-hmm.
And really the important point of all this is we just have to be aware of it. Am I allowing myself to just receive information that supports what I already believe, or am I giving myself the opportunity to expand the information that I have coming in so that I can be making sure that any decision I make is based on the truth, not just what I hold as true,
Yeah.
but what I could perceive, what I could say is the truth, or more of the truth. And to me, our reason for being here, our reason for being on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
is the progressive realization of the truth. So everything we do, every interaction we have with people, every thought we have, all the information that we seek out is about bringing us to the truth, whatever that is. We eventually will get there.
Mm-hmm.
Just so everybody knows, nobody fails. You will eventually get there.
Mm-hmm.
How you get there, what you go through to get there, is dependent upon us, each of us individually. The choices we make, the people we interact with, the information we allow in.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It is, and it's so easy to think that you're learning new things, but forget that the algorithm shows you you're just hearing different perspectives of the same
Yeah.
information or same truth. So how do you? So you say there's two sides of it.
Mhm.
What do you mean by two sides?
Well, it's sort of like anything. I'm going to use the words positive and negative, and I don't mean that in
Right.
a way that um, I'm just going to use the two words, positive and negative.
Yeah.
So confirmation bias doesn't care. It doesn't say I'm only going to give you negative information. I'm only going to give you positive. It gives you whichever side you would happen to fall on,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever information you're seeking. It will support you in that.
Mm-hmm.
A perfect example is you go online, you're looking for a pair of jeans,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you click on a pair of jeans you really like, and then you decide you don't want them. Well, then every time you turn on a computer, there's a new ad for a different company for a different pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not confirmation bias, but that's the way it works. It's the algorithm that now has picked up on what you clicked on,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's going to keep sending you that until you buy a pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Except even after you buy a pair of jeans, it's still gonna show up until you ignore it and you don't pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a certain school of thought or a particular viewpoint that you are adhering to,
Mm-hmm.
you click on it and you just see an article on it, and it might not be something that necessarily other than to get your attention, which is why the headlines are so important to the people that will write them. Because more often than not, my experience has been when people tell me something about an article, they haven't read the article, because I will make sure I read the article to see if what they're telling me is true.
Right.
And typically what's in the body of the article does not support the headline. Or if it's a video that somebody puts out and there's a headline that's a headline that's going to be an attention grabber, then you listen to the video and it really has very little to do with whatever that was. But it sucks you into it. And then and then I'll get to the other side of confirmation bias. The challenge with confirmation bias then is people read the headlines and then they forward that through social media without reading it, which then spreads it. And it goes to other people who have also clicked on something similar. Now they're going to get that information and it continues to spread. So it's become very insidious. And this is not because confirmation bias has now all of a sudden started to surface. It's because social media has given us the opportunity to communicate around the world in a matter of seconds. And it just hits so many people so much more quickly, and then other people share it. So the other side of confirmation bias is if you are, use the word spiritual, a spiritually based person, a person who's looking for good in the world, a person who's looking to help other people in the world, a person who's looking to better themselves through their presence in the world. Well, if you search out articles that would be information about how you do that, information on consciousness, information on well-being, I mean, whatever that would be, you're going to find the algorithms now are going to serve you in that way too. It's going to start giving you more and more information that supports this whole idea you hold of well-being, of consciousness, of spirituality. That in itself, though, can be difficult and challenging because there's a lot of information that comes through that side of things that isn't necessarily true. So we have to be present, and that's the key here, present to what we're receiving, present to what we're putting out, so that we know that the information we're getting is truly supporting us in living the life that we're intended to live. And I say that we're intended to live from a soul-based perspective. I can sit here as Jim Phillips in this physical body and say, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. But there's the real being within me that's saying, not so fast. This is really what you're going to experience. And this is really what you're going to do. And that's what we want to feed. We want to make sure that whatever you want to call that entity or that energy source within me or within any of us, we need to pay attention to that. That will allow us to bring in the information and the experiences that we're to have that really benefit the intention of the soul.
Yeah, I love that. I know it can be challenging to have a mindset or a set of beliefs, especially if they were inherited from family, and hold that to be so true. And then when something different comes along, you argue against it as if what you believe is the only, and that a lot of arguments start that way, right? And or it could sometimes create a conflict within yourself. You're like, was I wrong all this time? Or so how would you say you can start the process of really identifying your truth with the help of the confirmation bias, maybe? Or how would you start that process?
I'm going to give you a quote.
Okay.
And this quote is one that has become a mantra for me. And people who know me know that I use a lot of quotes, and they're original quotes that are given to me during early morning walks. I ask questions of whomever, whatever, and I get answers. So I was walking one morning and I was just really questioning a lot of what we're talking about right now. And the whole idea of truth. So what is the truth? Because anything anybody wants to hold is true to them, but it doesn't make it the truth. And we just need to be aware of that. So this quote that I was given that morning is, today what I know to be true, tomorrow might not be. And so that allows me to believe what I believe, but not hold on to it so tightly that I'm going to deny more information coming in, maybe a different experience coming in that would bring me more of the truth. It would replace what I'm holding as true. And it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means to that moment in time, what I held as true was true for me. I'm making decisions based on that. It no longer serves me. So now I need to let it go. So the position you're talking about is, and this is another quote, and that's we defend our misery at the expense of our happiness. When we're having that internal battle, that's misery because we're fighting ourselves, but we defend it.
Yeah.
We say, oh no, that's going to make me wrong. Or what will people think if I change my view on something,
Yeah.
even if we know it's true? And if we were to change our view, our happiness could be there. So we defend the misery. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be miserable because it's going to make me right, or make me feel like I'm right, or it's going to make me look better in the eyes of other people. Instead of allowing myself to let go of this that really no longer serves me, to open myself to this new idea, this new thought, this new way of living, new way of being, that will then, as I make that transition into that new way of being, now confirmation bias is going to come support that. So you're going to get more and more information that will allow you to continue to expand into that beingness that you've now stepped into. And it's always about consciously making decisions.
Yep.
And what happens too, at least in my experience, is you get to the point where you don't have to consciously make the decision. It's because that is who you now are.
Yeah.
So it's your beingness that will guide you and cause you to make decisions that further supports your beingness. And I think our beingness is all about expanding that. So it's about making that bigger, making that larger. I hate using terms that have become cliche.
Me too.
But it is about the illumination.
Yeah.
So about your light becoming brighter. And the more we live in full expression of our truth, and that is our innate beingness, we serve as an example to other people of who they are and what they're capable of doing. And in my book, which is called The Key to Life Living in Full Expression, one of the things I write in there, that's the greatest gift we bring to one another, is our conscious decision to, number one, realize the truth of who we are, and then live from that truth. And as I said earlier, it's a progressive realization. It's not like all of a sudden a light switch goes on and now you're there.
Right.
Our reason for being here is progressive realization. We have to go through the experiences. We have to meet different people. We have to be put in certain situations that will cause us to expand our innate personal power. That does two things. It gives us the opportunity to utilize that innate power, but it also gives us the realization of how powerful we are. Yeah. Which I don't think we really realize that.
We don't.
I mean, has there ever been anything that you really wanted to do? When I say really, I'm talking about desire, the deep desire.
Yeah.
Has there ever been anything you've had a strong desire to do that you haven't been able to do?
Dance.
There has been?
Dance.
Okay, so yet.
Yes.
All right, but your desire to dance is what? Professional dancer or what?
I wouldn't say on a professional competition level, but professional enough that I can do it in front of an audience. I would love to perform in front of an audience, not in competition, but as just a performance in general.
Okay, so what's stopping you from dancing in front of an audience? You had an audience at Soul Tree. What stopped you from being on stage and dancing? And I don't mean that in a funny way.
Yeah, I know.
We have the opportunities to do exactly what we say we want to do. We deny it. We don't give ourselves permission because what will people say? I'm supposed to be up here on stage speaking, and all of a sudden I'm dancing. I guarantee you that if you put music on and you started dancing, the audience would get up and dance with you.
I believe it. I know. So, and it's funny because while at Soul Tree, I thought about what came to mind was the reason I used to say that I can't dance is because I was basing that off of someone else's definition of what dance looked like. And so since then, I have been dancing more, of course, still at home by myself. But I was like, who defines that? What dance look like? I know there have been different styles of dance birthed because people are like, this is what I do, and people who hadn't been afraid to just get out there and dance.
Right.
So I did come to that, but still in the private.
I was in a situational, this was a long time ago, and I was at a big conference. And typically when you have a big conference, big parties and that sort of thing.
Sure.
And the son of one of the owners of the company that was having this big conference, he was probably in his late 20s or something like that. So we were having this big party, and I think there was a DJ playing, and he was out there dancing. Now, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, but did you ever see Elaine dance? Okay, so this guy was doing his best impression of the Elaine dance. And I was standing back watching this, and everybody's saying, "Oh, I can't believe he's dancing like that." And
Yeah.
a lot of people were standing off to the side. There was other people that were dancing, and what dawned on me was he was having fun. We weren't. He didn't care he probably didn't know what he looked like, but he didn't care. He was out there expressing himself in the way he knows to express himself with the music playing that was playing, and it doesn't matter. Now, here I am talking about it, but that's not me criticizing him. It's me saying he enjoyed himself.
Yeah.
He was being who he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge with us. We put up these, we don't give ourselves permission, I guess is the best way to put it. And yet it is a simple matter of saying, yes, you can, and then going out and doing it. So I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm going to challenge you to do a video. And it doesn't have to be live because if you don't feel comfortable, just dance and record it and post it. Okay. And I want to see the responses people give you. Okay. Are you up for that?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
I do have one it wasn't like full dance. I'll show it to you. I have it on either TikTok or IG, but it's nothing to the degree that you're what is coming to mind with that challenge. Okay. So I will still do that challenge.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. I will do
okay. But getting back to confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Having those thoughts about I can't do something, you'll receive feedback. And it doesn't have to be through somebody sending you an article, but you'll receive feedback from life that will reinforce I can't dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it works that way too.
It does.
And to me, it's nothing more than cause and effect. We can talk about energy and what we hold inside of us is being reflected outside of us and all of that. Whatever you want to call it, how it works.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we're putting out will definitely be reflected to us. And too often we say it's the other person or it's the people or it's the circumstance. But we have to look at, well, what is it within me that's causing this? And how do I take responsibility for it? What choices do I have? And is this something I have to do?
Right.
Which we typically don't. And it's just, again, a matter of making a conscious decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
My brain's kind of going.
No, go, let it go.
Another part of this too is what we as humans, for the most part, I can't say everybody because there's some brilliant minds out there that are extraordinarily creative. We don't really allow ourselves to get clear on what we want life to look at. So we get caught up in what's happening right now. Now, of course, that would sound like I'm contradicting being present, and it's not.
Right.
Because when you're present, it's not that you're stuck in what you're doing. It means that you're here, that you're living life, that you're receptive to everything else that's going on around you, but you're also recognizing you have the ability, the God-given, whatever you want to call it, ability and responsibility to make choices as to how you want your life to unfold. And once we start to get clear on that, and again, I think that's a progression too, because we can start doing something. And as that expands, we see, okay, there is more I want to do with that. Your dance, you talk about wanting to be a dancer, whether it's professional and being paid on it. It might not be that. It might be you dancing, showing other people it's okay to fully express yourself in front of other people. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to enjoy yourself. Who cares what everybody else says? Because it really doesn't matter. And it really is how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings me back to the confirmation bias too, because a lot of times
we kind of got off on that, didn't we?
Yeah, but it's all intermixed, right? Like, because your mindset, like for me, in many years ago, my confirmation bias looked for everything that proved that I was stupid, that nobody liked me, and it just kept perpetuate. I created situations that confirmed that. Until I was like, this can't be the way things are supposed to be. How do I change that? So I appreciate the fact that you brought up and reminded, take responsibility for your part in whatever is going on in your life. And that's what I think it's missed a lot, is people realizing that it takes two. This situation didn't just happen because of the other person, and you played a part in that, whether it was verbally or energetically, physically, mentally, whatever. Taking responsibility for your thoughts and your actions is a key aspect to creating the life that you want. And
here's a big part of that. It's easier to allow what we've been told to be what we make decisions against,
Yeah.
whether it's true or not, and just say, I can't do that because,
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, I'm going to do this
Mm-hmm.
because.
Mm-hmm.
And then making the conscious decision to do what you want and not allowing what somebody else said or what we keep telling ourselves, because we have the thought loop that keeps reinforcing that confirmation bias in our head
Yep.
that reinforces that. And the question I would always ask is this true? Now, you feeling that you were less intelligent or however it manifested in your life, the question at some point in time has to be, where and how did that happen, and is it true?
Right.
And we got to be careful we don't get stuck there, because we don't need to know why it happened.
Right.
We just need to know what happened, and I'm holding myself to that same level.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, okay, that happened, it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I've got these experiences that prove otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of falling back on the negative thoughts that reinforce that I'm not intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
what about the times when you showed brilliance?
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of who anybody is, we have those moments.
Yep.
So what was different about that time?
Right.
You got out of your own way for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and you just allowed who you are to be what was being experienced and expressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds so easy when you talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
but we're in our heads too much. We got all these people talking to us,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, life throws things at us that I think are intended to challenge us.
Mm-hmm.
And on an even deeper level, I think that our soul is created to challenge us so that we can meet the intentions of our soul,
Mm-hmm.
and then move through that, gain the greater understanding, progressive realization of the truth.
Yeah. I love when the concept of progressive realization, because we tend to have an all or nothing mentality,
Mhm.
right? And like you said, it's not going to be a light bulb that just come on. You automatically know, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like those experiences create that, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not going to happen overnight. And just because you don't realize everything at once doesn't mean you're not progressing.
Well, here's a thought that the light bulb just
Yeah.
went off.
Yeah. Speaking of light bulbs.
When the light bulb goes off,
Mm-hmm.
you've progressed to that point. So it's not like, the light bulb going off would be the first time you were actually incarnated into physical form. If that light bulb went off, then that would be different.
Mm-hmm.
But depending upon people's beliefs, I believe we have many lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the progressive realization. It's not about this life.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'll share something that was told to me, because I have this sense sometimes that I'm running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that I still want to experience in life,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things I want to create. I want to impact more people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And this thought is, I'm bumping up against time.
Mm-hmm.
And I raised that question. And when I raised the question, the answer I got back was, what makes you think it has to be done during this lifetime?
Okay.
And it was like, whoa.
Pressure lifted.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just do what you can every day,
Mm-hmm.
again, in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
and be mindful of it. And if you have become more clear on who it is that you are,
Mm-hmm.
how you want to experience and express in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and you make choices that allow that to be your expression in the world,
Mm-hmm.
then you're doing what you're intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the people get hung up on life purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They say, oh, I can't find my life purpose. I don't know what I'm here for. I'm doing this. And so they'll use a dancer as an example. Someone who's a dancer will say, this is my calling. This is my life's purpose. It's not. That's the vehicle through which their life purpose is being expressed.
Mm-hmm.
Who they are is being demonstrated through their dance,
Mm-hmm.
through how they interact with other people. Now, we can also say that there are a lot of dancers who are prima donnas, who are a pain in the butt that you wouldn't want to interact with. They think they're better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
How is that their life's purpose, to be a good dancer, but then to have that kind of an attitude or that kind of ego?
Right.
It's about really allowing our truth to come out, recognizing it's a gift, whatever it is that we are. I don't even want to say you're destined. I don't believe that we have specific callings, because I think the progressive realization of life is everybody's life's purpose. That is the purpose of life. My life's purpose is realizing it. How I go about that is my choice.
Yeah.
But I do believe that our soul has certain inclinations towards a career path, if you will,
Sure.
or different ways of expression. And so some people will say, that's my calling. Well, no, that's just one of the ways that you have been given, and you've been given talent that will allow you to experience and express through that
modality, so to speak.
Yeah, that modality or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, I can see that. For anyone who's watching this live or catches it later, I hope that gives you something to think about. Because I know a lot of times I work with clients and they're like, I'm running out of time. And the whole concept of, does it have to be this lifetime? Like, just start the thing in motion and let it pick up and continue however it's going to continue. Just be the best version of yourself every day that you wake up.
But here's another part of that. If you ever wanted to do something, really, really wanted to do something, you finish it, and then there's a big letdown, right? Why would we think that whatever it is that we want to do in this life, and we do it, I mean, it's the same thing. Isn't it better to know that it continues? Because if it really is something that you're deeply invested in, deeply driven to do, I mean, it really is your soul compelled to do or to be whatever this is. Wouldn't you rather have it not end? Because it is the process that's the exciting part. Because we get to the end and go, really? You read a really good book, and you get to the end and you hate the ending because and you go, I wish this book was longer. Why couldn't they have extended this out a little bit? So you don't want it to end. Why would we want the thing that we're really engaged in, that we really love doing, to come to an end because we've put a deadline or we've put some kind of it has to be this way at the other end of it? Just enjoy the process of it.
I agree with that for sure. The process is the most important part of the journey. So I love that. A lot of nuggets. Holy crap, time goes by quick. We've got like 3.5 minutes. So I would love to invite you to share how people can connect with you. What can they look? You do coaching. So do you have any like workshops or anything you would like to share before we close out today?
I don't have any workshops that I'm working on right now. I am in the process of thinking about what the next thing is I want to do. I am in the midst of writing another book. And it's an interesting book because this one I'm incorporating more of me into it. The other books that I've written, I've had people tell me that I should have had more of me in it, but I didn't want it to be about me. It was about the message. This one's going to incorporate some of my experiences that would help illustrate the points that I'm trying to make. So I'm about halfway finished with that one. I do, as you said, coaching and life strategy work. People can reach me on my website, livinginfullexpression.com. My book is called The Key to Life, Living in Full Expression. You can order that go to Amazon or any of the online booksellers. You can also go to my website and get a signed copy. Now, I will say the signed copies, you have to live in the United States because to ship a book overseas is like 10 times the cost of the book. So I can't do that. You're better off getting it through Amazon. But I will send signed copies if you go to my website and order it through that. And then really send me an email, jim@livinginfullexpression.com. Nikki knows where I am. So if you want to talk to Nikki, she can put you in touch with me as well. But I love having conversations like this with people because I really want people to open up to the possibility, the infinite possibility of who they are, what they can create, and really the experiences that they can have in this and each subsequent lifetime. And if we give ourselves that opportunity to do it, life just becomes so much better. And I think it also helps us get out of the stuff that's happening around the world. And it doesn't mean that we don't pay attention to it. It doesn't mean we don't have compassion for the people who are going through horrendous things. But we have to understand, and this I know we got to end up. I'm going to end on this. I was watching like 20 minutes or 60 minutes of one of those shows one night, and there was a segment on it that was dealing with the civil war in Somalia. And I was watching. I mean, they show brutal images. And I'm thinking, and this is at night. And typically, I walk in the morning. I had to turn it off because emotionally and energetically, it was just killing me. Turned it off, went for a walk. And I just started talking out loud. I said, this is not right. I said, this cannot be the way that life is supposed to be. There's something just totally off about this for me. And I said, I feel like I need to do something. What is it I can do? And, of course, when you think along those lines, your thought is, do I go to Somalia, or do I, how can I benefit these people there? The answer I got immediately was, if you were intended to be there, you'd be there. You need to be exactly where you are, which is why you are where you are, doing what it is you do. Because we're each in the circumstances perfectly suited for us to live out our soul's intentions. And while we maybe we want to make ourselves feel good by saying, I'll go to Somalia, or if there's a hurricane or something, we want to go down there and help them. We shouldn't feel guilty that we can't, because if we were intended to do it, our desires would be strong enough that we would do it. But if we can't do it, we just don't have that strong enough desire to do it, recognize where you are as where you're intended to be. What can you do? Not necessarily specific to that event, but what can you do within your life that is going to benefit the people around you on a daily basis? And I think if we recognize that, again, we get back to the whole idea of being present, then we're supporting each other and going through that progressive realization.
Yeah, I love that. Because you never know who you affect. Like, you doing what you do, you could be helping Somalia because of who it is that you're affecting. So you just never know. So
and that's another really strong point, because we don't know. We don't know who is going to be listening to this, who may pick up on something and say, or send it to people in Somalia or wherever, and say, listen to this interview. There's some information in here that might benefit you. Change your mindset. And then look at what life can be.
Love it. Thank you, Jim.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great conversation. If you are not subscribed, please do share this video, share the channel. Love to have you hop on and get some really good nuggets from this. And so we'll close out for the day, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video or go live. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the comments. We're always checking that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day.